Illustrator is absolutely amazing. It can do a million things, which means that it's complicated because you have to figure out how to find the millionth thing that you actually want to do. When you first launch it, it might look a little bit different than this, but I want to show you some of the toolbars that I like to have open. So in the window menu, you can turn on and off a variety of things. One of them is the control bar up here at the top. I like to have that on because it allows me to change my colors and my strokes and things like that all very quickly. The actual toolbar over here on the left side, that is under Tools, Default. And you can turn it on or off. And sometimes I accidentally make it disappear and it's very frustrating, and so you have to go back up there and find it. I also like to have access to my color swatches, layers, and under Type, the characters. And that allows me to change my fonts and my font sizes, allows me to line things up and distribute them, change the colors, and we'll talk about layers in a little bit. Let's zoom in on our toolbar and look at the different types of tools we have. At the top, there are two different arrows. There's the black arrow and the white arrow. The black arrow, called the selection tool, which is the one on the left, that's what you'd expect an arrow to do. You can click on objects, you can move them around. If you click on the little corners of things, you can resize them. If you hit undo, you can undo things. The white arrow we'll get to in a little bit, but let's first start trying to draw something. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to the box tool, it's the rectangle tool. I'm just going to go ahead and draw a box in here. And yours might be a different color, but you'll see that you have the option to change both the color that it's filled in with, and if I double click on my color, I get a nice little color bar in here, or I can go up to the top and choose different colors from that color swatch on my control strip, or if you happen to have your color palette open, you can do things over there. So there's three different places that at least that you can change the color of the box, and that's the fill color. If you go over here, this is the outline color. It's called the stroke here, and to change that, I can change the color of that separately from, let's make it a nice red so you can see it very easily. I can change that separately from the box itself, and I can make that outline thicker or thinner. I can click on the stroke button here at the controls, and it will give me options to make some changes on there. I can make it a dashed line. I can change the corners so that they're a little bit funner. All sorts of crazy stuff you can do. The next tool that's useful, of course, is the text box. You can go ahead and draw and then just start typing. And then you can move that around. And of course, with our character palette here from the window, type character, if you don't have that up already, you can change the font. You can change the font size and make it bigger. And if you get to the paragraph options, you can center that and do all the other great things that you want to do, and a million more than you ever knew that you could do with text and how you configure it. So that's the text box. There's a simple line tool, which is right next to the T for text. And that just makes very simple lines. You can see that for some reason right now, my line is defaulted to have a transparent, that's what this red dash it means, transparent fill and transparent stroke. So we need to change that. Let's go up here and make that a yellow line and see if that looks. Oops, you know what? I changed the fill, but of course a line has no center part to it, so it doesn't have a fill. I wanted to actually change the stroke to that yellow, and I can ignore this or set it to transparent again. See what it looks like that. Next tool that's pretty useful for us is actually the one that kind of looks like an old-fashioned pen. It's called the pen tool. And this is designed for drawing complicated shapes with curves. So I can just start tapping once, and then you can see I can make a line. If I tap, 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 it makes any shape polygon I want. And then I can go back to the beginning, and you can see how my pen gets a little O next to it. That closes the shape, so that we have now a closed polygon. We can change the fill and stroke color of that just the same way that we did with our rectangle, where we can fill it in with ugly colors and give it an outline. The pen's real strength, though, is when you want to draw curves. So now I'm going to start drawing something, but now I'm going to click, and I'm going to hold down while I'm still clicking here, that first click there, and I can start creating shapes that are a little bit more interesting. Like, say, you want to draw a heart. And we can maybe give our heart a red center here so that it's more Valentine-y. And now I'm going to start showing you what that white arrow does. So you remember the black arrow allows me to move things around, but the white arrow is going to allow me to move around individual parts of things. The black arrow is for holes, the white arrow is for parts. And if I tap carefully on a single point, you can see that it gives me these little bars, these handlebars here that allow me to adjust that point's curvature or to move that point individually, separately from the other ones. So I can do that with here, make my heart a little bit more symmetric, maybe. No, a little bit more symmetric. Those are the basics. We'll learn more in future videos.